All right, welcome back to the AI show. And we are going to dive into this example of how to train an employee using GPT-4. So what I've done is I created some code. And by the way, all of this code is available that you can check out on your own afterwards. It is available on my GitHub repo. I will share the link at the end, but you can feel free to take advantage of all of this code yourself. And so what I'm doing is we have a little kind of intro blurb right here. And then I wanted to make it super easy for people to utilize on their own. So let me see if I can move this actually. There we go. Let's get this out of here. So what you can do is I've actually just copied and pasted right here in this window, and this is modifiable. So you can change this and replace this with your own text. But I grabbed a manual, a commercial grade. I looked up and found a commercial grade Fryer manual online. And so I've stuck it in here. And then what I'm going to do is ask my GPT-4 model to generate a quiz question for me. So I'm going to click go on that and have it start generating. And while I'm doing that, let's jump into the code and I can show you exactly what's happening under the covers. All right. I'm going to move this all the way off. There we go. All right, so what I am doing here is I'm pulling in a couple of helpers here, and then I'm loading all of the information about my Azure OpenAI service. So if you are familiar with the Azure OpenAI service, you know that you have to have an endpoint and a key, and then you want to point it to your deployment name. I typically name my deployments after the model that I'm using. So this deployment is just called GPT-4. And so all of this will set those as environment variables that it pulls from this .env file. And then you can load them all right here. Easy peasy. All right, I am using LangChain for this example. So I created something to set this up, a new instance of GPT-4. And then in this code, it's really, really simple, you guys. Two little Python methods right here. And then at the bottom, I'm using Gradio for my setup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gradio. I love it because I am not a UI person. I have spent over 20 years at Microsoft being bad at UI. It is, it's tricky because it almost feels like, I don't know. I could never keep up with what was the cool JavaScript framework, right? Like, what is in right now? Is it React? Is it like it would keep changing, and I just could not keep up with what was cool. So I have managed to avoid being good at UI design for over 20 years. I just focused on machine learning, and other people were good at it. So Gradio is great for people like me who love machine learning and are not good at UI because it makes it super easy to do some UI stuff. So what I've done, this last little section here is just using Gradio to set up that UI that you just saw. So what it is I in that text box that you saw right there, I pulled in the stuff from the deep fryer. Here's the actual place where I grabbed the manual from, in case you want to see the reference. And then I have text from there pulled in. And then I just set up those two rows. And within the row I have, and the first one was kind of the top where you saw the little logo and that little intro. And then here below is where you see where I set up all of this section, this little excerpt from the manual, and then the AI generated quiz question. So when I clicked this generate quiz question button, what happened was it called this first function, which is right here, this generate quiz system level prompt. And there is some great guidance online for how to create a really strong system level prompt. Again, this is a really, really old demo, so I don't have protection against jailbreaking and a lot of the other responsible AI things that you would probably want to add in here to make sure it behaves appropriately, asking it to use language that would be, good for on the job. But here's what I actually did say here. Your role is a trainer to help new employees learn their job. You generate a multiple choice quiz question to train an employee when given information from the employee manuals and employee guidebooks. All right. And then you can stick whatever you want here. So in this template, what I did is I actually used this kind of pound manual and the new line, and then I stuck in whatever that rag from the manual is. And again, I have it in the UI so that way you can replace it with your own stuff. And then this will automatically suck in whatever is in that window. And then I'm giving it kind of a new section The reason that this works well, by the way, you guys, is because when you think about how these large language models were trained, a lot of them were trained on internet data at scale, right? So when you think about Markdown and what works really, like kind of the format of some of these internet, what data looks like on the internet, there's a lot of like headers that look exactly like this. And so by this formatting, it recognizes this is a header. Okay, this is the manual part. This is a question, etc. And so that tends to guide the model nicely. It's a little prompt trick that I've used in the past. All right, so in this case, I have the question here, and I'm just saying the above manual is for equipment used on the job. You could replace it for whatever. And write a quiz question for a new employee to test if they understand the above content. The multiple choice question should have only one correct answer. I was originally getting questions where the answer was both C and D and those kind of things. So I did add that to my prompt at one point. And then I'm just saying quiz question and then dropping off there. Because remember that at its essence, these are continuation APIs. So it will complete what I have. So now I'm kind of signaling that I want the quiz question, and that's what it's going to give me. So I fill all of this into my prompt, this user template, the system template, all of that goes in there, and then I get my output back. So let's go back and check out what we got. All right, so let's see if I can do this. According to the manual, which of the following is a recommended practice for frying? All right, fry at temperatures. I'm going to try to not look at the left-hand side and see if I can get it. Fry at temperatures above 400. I think that's a little too high. Pack the basket tightly. No. Drain the stuff from the cold zone at least once daily. I think you are supposed to do that. And then overfill. No, overfill doesn't seem right. Okay, let's do C. This actually was felt pretty easy. Some of these have actually been kind of challenging. So I'm going to put in C, and then I clicked check answer. Now, check answer, let's take a look at what this code is actually doing. If I jump over here, you'll see that I am doing, I have that button actually invokes. When I call here on that second row, I had the AI generate quiz question, and then check answer button will call this next function called evaluate quiz. So that right here, what I'm doing is calling the model again, and I have a different system template and a different user template as well. So the system template now says your role is a quiz checker to help new employees learn their job. You evaluate a multiple choice quiz question to train an employee and the employee's answer and provide feedback. You should compliment when they do something right and gently correct when they mess up. All right. So very clear guidance on what I'm looking for here. And now I construct a template where I'm adding in all of the things that you saw before. So I have the manual, and then I pass in the same excerpt from the window. I have the quiz question. So remember that models don't fundamentally store state, right? So even though I just called an instance of GPT-4 to generate that quiz question, unless I've stored off chat history, it has no idea that it was the one that generated that question. So I can put in the excerpt. I'm just putting in that exact same quiz question that was model generated, but it doesn't even know that. I'm putting in the answer that the user gave here. And now I'm asking a new question, which is, given the above chat history, is the employee's answer correct? Write a short assessment of how they did. All right, so given this manual with the right answer, this quiz question, and this user answer, is it right? And then again, I'm kind of prodding that what I want next is the assessment, go, and then it will do a completion there. And then passing these all in the exact same way, filling out the right things, and then getting that output back. And then I'm dumping all of this for debug purposes as well. But you should see it here. It says, yes, the employee's answer is correct. According to the manual, it's a good practice to drain the kettle, filter fat, and remove all residue from the cold zone at least once daily. Let's see if we can actually find where it's at. Oh, yeah, here we go. It was down here. Cool. All right, so option C is right. All right, and then, of course, it does the little cheerleading, which I asked it to do. Good job on carefully reading and understanding the manual. Keep it up. So I leave with a feel-good feeling. All right, so let's see if it gets it right if I actually give it a wrong answer. So I'm going to give it another try. Let's say I know that A is wrong. Frying at temperatures above 400. 400 is hot, man. Frying that high would be a little bit scary, I think. So let's just check and make sure that's wrong. So I'm giving it a second to check the answer, and then it does in fact do as requested, and give me a not quite correct. So the employee's answer is incorrect. According to the manual, the correct answer would be C, drain the kettle. So it told me what was the right answer. And I chose A, which contradicts the manual's guidance of not allowing fat in the kettle to be heated above 375. And then here's the gentle correction part. It's important for the employee to thoroughly read and comprehend each guideline to avoid such errors in the future. Don't be discouraged, though. Everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. Keep trying. Aw, love it. So nice. All right, so we can actually go through and generate more quiz questions as well. So let me try at least one more. Now, do keep in mind, if you remember the code that we just looked at, I did not store the chat history from previous questions. That is something I could add on to make it even better. So it could be a little bit repetitive. So let's see. But no, it does give me a different question, which is wonderful. What is the proper frying temperature? I think it's B. Let's see, B. And then you can imagine that if I were a real employee, if you were giving this to an employee, what you would do is they would only see the right half of the screen, right? Like this is the section that you would give to the actual employee to see. But as a demo and to make sure that it was really clear, I did put an actual manual on here so that we could check our answers and know what's right. And what also makes this fun is that you can replace this. So feel free to just delete this frying manual and add your own things here as well. My daughter is actually in the process of taking the AP exams right now in high school. I don't know if any of you also have kids going through that process right now. But I also was like messing around with like, okay, let's try, are there study things that you could put here? Or, give me organic chemistry questions, or like all of these different things that you can do right there. And then you can imagine just slapping a for loop on that and iterating over, a textbook of content, and then generating questions on the fly to help study. There's all kinds of really cool scenarios right there that you could do. All right. So what is the proper frying temperature? I did say B, right? And I checked that. Yes, that is correct, which is good. And again, I can do the wrong answer and it should correct me, but I think we got that. So feel free to leverage this if it is of any use to you, if you are trying to study for anything or just want to check it out and see a use case that is not a chatbot, but another cool way to learn. I've put like best practices for if you're kind of learning to do new things, best practices and such here, and it can generate questions on whatever content you throw in here. So feel free to utilize that. And let me also just show you the code right here. If I go to github.com, Jennifer Marsman, and we pull up the this code right here. It's the GPT training is the one that we were looking at. So feel free to take a look at this and give it a try yourself. I documented in the README how to get your own Azure OpenAI service. So feel free to check that out. Just update the environment variable with these things right here. And then here's exactly run the code. I'm using Anaconda on Windows, but you can do it however you'd like. But this method should work. All right, so feel free to take a look at that if that is helpful to you. And then finally, like the kind of key challenge I want to leave you with today, because I know we're almost at the top of the hour. The key challenge I want to leave you with is, what are things that you can do with large language models that are not chatbots? All right. So there's all kinds of really neat opportunities. There are things like can you have a GPT model, for instance, play the role of your user or play the role of a tester on your product? Can you have it ask questions like a customer would? Like there's all kinds of really neat scenarios that you can leverage to see if to see what could happen. So just try to think about that pattern as a whole. Like how can you have that GPT model help you in other ways by playing the role of other your employee or your customer or that sort of thing. Otherwise, I hope that was helpful and I will see you guys at Build. Take care.